Oh, wow. It is our first response to anything new, different, or extraordinary. No, it's too scary. It won't work. It's going to fail. It doesn't like change, risk, or any steps we take into new territory. Monkey mind chatter is inevitable. Everyone experiences it at some point, especially when engaged in an important project or working toward a significant goal.
Arturo, next screen, please. So the top level of the monkey mind idea is when you're experiencing it, you want to get out of danger, and you want to stay out of danger. And you're like basically like, I'm right. That's your baseline. Am I having a monkey mind experience? If you find yourself feeling like you need to get out of danger or stay out of danger, or proving that you're right, even though you know it may be just a conversation that you're having with yourself, chances are fairly good that you might be experiencing a monkey mind symptom. So what not to do is first, let's look at how not to go past the monkey mind. Monkey mind gets stirred up when we try to analyze it, suppress it, or argue with it. The more you focus upon it, the louder and more complicated it gets. Do you ever get tired of what you're thinking? We all know that experience. There's some good news, however. It's easy to go past monkey mind, easier to go past the monkey mind than you might think. To quiet the chatter, we observe it, and then we shift our attention away from it, and we just kind of let it move into the background where it won't hinder us and the noise won't go away, but it becomes irrelevant to us. So the jam with monkey mind is to look, see, tell the truth, and take authentic action. To look basically means to look and direct your attention somewhere. To see is to discern something out from the backdrop. To tell the truth is to describe the facts of the situation, and to take authentic action is an action that's inconsistent with what's important to you. So as you're kind of going through the process of identifying when you have a monkey mind conversation, you have an opportunity to acknowledge the conversation and decide, do I want to, kind of keep spinning my wheels with this conversation, or do I want to get to what it is that I'm trying to get done? Monkey mind conversation may show up when you are working on your grant, and it says, I've applied for all these different grants and I never get the grant. And it's just like, yes, and I'm still willing to try.
It also could be this was a huge issue in the relationship.
And I'm not sure what that is, but somebody else's information was playing in the background. So Sandy, if you could drop the document into the chat, what we're going to have you do is read through the checklist. And we don't want you to like analyze the entire checklist, but just choose like what are the top 3 to 5 symptoms. I also like to call them, what are the greatest hits? What are the songs around Monkey Mind that play with great regularity for you? You want to scroll to the second page? And as you are landing on which ones come up for you, drop them in the chat. I have a playlist of justification, either or, and qualifying statements. Oh yeah, we got a lot of greatest hits in here. I think we have enough to make a box set. So as you continue to become familiar with um, the tools that Arturo and I will continue sharing with you over the next few weeks, you can take them beyond our time together and apply them, particularly this list of symptoms. And a lot of it's learning how to dance with the monkeys. First, it's acknowledging, and then there's the learning how to dance with and the nuances of uh, is this conversation or is this based in reality or is this just a conversation that I'm having? And learning how to like basically look at that and say, this is a conversation. This is a monkey mind situation. So Arturo, you can take the screen down, and I want to see if anybody would be interested in getting a little coaching around the monkey mind. Uh, Bria,
Yes.
so talk to me. What are your greatest hits?
Ooh. Okay, so my greatest hits are bargaining, scarcity thoughts, impulsiveness, and fragmentation.
And when does that tend to show up? The first one.
Let's see. The first one was bargaining. I always operate in a sense of like, and I think it's a defense mechanism. Like if I make sure I take care of all my responsibilities, then I can treat myself. Or like I will look forward to like going out or like doing something fun as a reward if I make sure I take care of everything that I take care of. And I think a lot of that stems from childhood trauma and just like past experiences to where the way I was reprimanded or like disciplined in a way to like, well, if you want to do these things, if you want to do these fun things, if you want to experience, doing these extracurriculars, you have to do X, Y, and Z first. Or if you don't do this, then you can't have fun, basically. And so just like a very like this or that mentality, which as an adult, I'm breaking away from. And it is still a process and I'm learning to do that. But like, I see that show up in my adult life, and I'm doing better at recognizing it and just like being kinder to myself and telling myself like I do deserve to experience fun things or like nice things or receive, helping hand from somebody regardless. It doesn't have to be I do this and so I get that thing.
And what's the best part of like seeing, telling the truth about what's really going on?
Honestly, I was telling Aaron this therapy, a nurse. A lot of therapy has helped, and then just also like just not wanting to operate in that way because I've just seen how it doesn't help me, and so wanting better for myself and understanding that what that looks like for me, and I feel like that's the best part. Me being able to recognize that and like talk about it, because for a long time I would not be able to like have this conversation with you, especially on a Zoom with the rest of my cohort buddies. So it just feels good to be able to just talk about it and just share my experience. And I hope that, it's relatable and it speaks to someone or it inspires somebody. But just walking in my truth unapologetically, which we talked about in our coaching session.
Yes, you're like bringing into physical reality the other side of the conversation. So folks, can you share some love with Rhea around like how this might be supporting you with what they're recognizing in their own journey?
I guess that makes you feel like you're not alone, because we're all feeling some type of doubt when working on something that we really love. So it helps a lot to hear that others are experiencing, the same thing, and that they're going towards their goal regardless of that feeling and coming out of those feelings.
Yeah, I think another word for monkey mind is like all the feels. All the feelings.
Yes, all the people.
Anything else that you recognize coming out on the other side of that, Rhea?
That's pretty much. Well, I will say it's been easier to collaborate with others. I definitely will say that. I've been more receptive.
Great, thank you for being so coachable. You're like totally in the zone. Eva, would you like to go next?
Yeah, that list, I could choose everything there. Unfortunately, but I guess it's the human experience, right? Some people just recognize him openly, others pretend that doesn't exist. And I'm at a point in my life that I recognize, I'm more into what makes us vulnerable and real as human beings than anything else. I'm interested in that. So in my case, I was looking at impulsiveness, and the description just fit exactly what I did recently, which was to quit my job for looking, searching my dreams. And I did that recently, and it's chaotic, right? What I'm going through, because whatever, the adjustments and all that. But in any case, I think I have been struggling with monkey mind since forever. And I think because I have a strong mind and I'm always thinking that through my thoughts, I'm going to solve issues. And I'm really learning how to let go. And I think it's a combination, working and for your goals and having, in my case, I have a lot of projects and things that I have almost ready to put out there. And just recognizing, I was talking to Ryan about this, recognizing that the creative journey is a journey in itself, right? And giving value to the things that you already have and the things that you're working on is important, because I tend to look at everything that I don't have yet, or I think I should have. So, and I'm talking about that just in a loud voice, if that serves as any source of, consolation or sharing experience. But yeah, I'm in the middle of realizing that the mind really plays a lot of tricks. And it's important just to let go and to take care of ourselves and to value, what we have and what we're doing instead of looking at, what we don't have yet or compare ourselves to others, which is something sometimes we do inevitable, especially myself, that I'm kind of the older here, I think, one of the oldest. And I am always like comparing myself to my peers, my generation. Oh my God, they have done this or that, whatever. I am in a different path because I'm more, uh, guided by my creative desires. So that is a role in itself. So yeah, I don't have any much more to add, but I'm just saying, that it's a shared experience.
So what is more interesting, the looking at your path or looking at others?
Yeah, I've been trying to look to the future, but I am stuck in the past. So I'm really trying to get rid of that, because there's no way that I can move in a healthy way to the future or to acknowledge the present and to, live with the present if I am so stuck in the past. So I'm really trying to get rid of that. So yeah, and then this comparison thing is stupid. It doesn't really serve any purpose because we are all our own universe and we have our own, trips. So as I say, it's just like looking for, in my case, I think my conclusion is looking for healthy ways to sustain ourselves based on our creative spirits.
So can you think of like maybe one or two things that you can do that can contribute to your artistic, healthy sustainability?
Making progress every day on the projects that I already have. Yeah, I think because I spend too much time thinking instead of doing. So, I guess advancing every day, a little bit more of the projects. Like in this case, putting, the projects, translating them into grants, narratives. That would be a good way out at the moment. And finishing, for example, the book that I have to finish putting all the images together in order to, so focus more on that and on all speculations about where I am in life and all that. So yeah.
So any emojis can you relate to Ava's experience? Any folks? Lauren, would you care to, or Mike, would you care to share? Or Bria or Dominique? Or
Sure,
Armando?
I'll hop in.
Okay.
Yeah, all that resonated with me deeply as well. It's like waves because I can see a little bit of all that. But I think the things that really stuck out was also too was already mentioned was that bargaining thing. Like I just gotta like put in. I can't just like sometimes not do it, or like it has to be on this routine thing. Like I don't deserve it unless I do X, Y, and Z. And I need to get rid of that. Like it's health, but it's like I deserve to sometimes not have to work all the time. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can play damn. And I say the other one would be is like deflection. Like, hey, like it's not my best work. Like at least I did a little bit. Like at least I did this when I know I could have like managed my time a lot more proactively and then put in work instead of like doom scrolling. Like for a couple hours, I could have done a couple hours of some quality work. So I say deflecting and not like, sitting down and excuses. Those are things I think a big thing that's like stopped me. But I think it's beautiful to hear these things and see a lot of the 1 through 20 because it's be waves of it. But I think those are the ones that really stuck out to me.
So Mike, thank you for acknowledging your stopping points. And now that you recognize them, you can look at them for what they are, just simply stopping points. They're not walls. It's opportunities to look at what it is, tell the truth and take an authentic action that's the opposite of the symptom.
I feel that. I definitely feel that and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Armando.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So, hi everyone. Sorry, just with family all over the place. I like the term doom scrolling. I'm gonna take that, but I think for me, it's like the comparison I've had, and like, I think it's human nature to compare like yourself to others. And like I've seen just people in my line of work do more because they're more of a cohesive group. And then you can't help but be like, why aren't we in the same place, or why aren't I in the same place? And then you, I don't know, for me, it's like kind of seeing what's working and what's not. And then that's why I'm here, because I've been working with people that don't want to grow or just keep things the way it is. And it's like not even a satisfaction, it's just more like tradition for the sake of tradition. So it's kind of being stuck in that negativity where you're not allowed to express or to grow or to even like be creative. Kind of puts you like in a spiral, like a downward spiral, at least for me. I'm trying to work on being better and just surrounding myself with like people that are ambitious.
So, Armando, can I have a coachable moment with you?
Yeah.
So I've only known you for 3 weeks, and I've seen your name for longer because you were one of the first people to sign up before we did this cohort. But the thing that I do know about you is you have a vision of what you want to bring into physical reality. That that seems like it might be more interesting than any comparisons. Like you have a very clear, compassionate vision that's like not being represented in the world right now, and it might be more interesting than any kind of comparison or what other folks are doing or not doing.
You're right.
So if you give yourself a little bit of a grace and like lean into your awesome factor, can you feel kind of what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I think we're doing so great on time. I think April, we have a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna close with my last line. But April, I see your emoji paw up.
Wait, you said you saw my emoji paw go up?
I say a hand. It looks like a hand.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that, but I'll go.
Okay. If you didn't mean to get in a sweet seat, you can even just share an observation.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I echo with the fluidity of at some point in my life, I feel like I've seen, observed, directly been affected by all of these. I think in my most recent months of life, I've experienced being paranoid, um, impulsive, and taking things personally. Um, there are a few others like justification, rationalization that I kind of feel like becomes a byproduct of some of those things. But yeah, and yeah, I don't know. It's a constant struggle because I do feel like I take in so much information around what's going on in the world, how to treat people, even being in the line of therapy work and constantly having to decenter myself. So then I rationalize because in my mind, I'm like, okay, if most of my work is around thinking about the other person and being empathetic, then sometimes when I feel like when I do take things personally, it's like I did everything before not to get to this point. So it must be something going on. And then I get paranoid. So it's a hamster wheel. And then I eventually retreat and isolate. So yeah.
It sounds like you're really clear on what the monkey mind looks like, to put it mildly.
Could you say it one more time? My volume is up. I can't really hear you.
It sounds like you're very clear on what the monkey mind looks like and feels like.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, you know what it looks like, tastes like, smells like. You could probably write a dictionary about it.
Yeah, maybe so.
So the beauty is when you can acknowledge it, it's like, this is a lot. I'm holding a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And even just acknowledging it, you don't have to be it. It's like just kind of giving yourself grace to set it down.
Mm-hmm.
Do movement work, healing work, but like being okay with setting it down and like being your container
Mm-hmm.
for the opposite of all the stuff that you're holding.
Right. Just pour it out.
Yeah, because that's a big dictionary to be carrying around.
Mm-hmm. I ask God all the time, why why you put this in my head? But no, I feel you. I'm trying. I'm definitely trying. Which is why art is such a powerful tool for me, because that's at least the one space where I witness it moving out of me. Which is why I think I fight to be in artist residencies, because I know that's time to work through this and not be in the hustle and bustle of life.
Boom, right there. You just dropped the mic. That's your opposite of carrying the dictionary up the hill.
April,
Mhm.
yes. I just need to, yes, April, yes. Just know I see you and I hear you, April, yes.
I'm going to come back to you, Arturo. Rayan had their hand up.
Yeah. So I wanted to make a slightly contrarian point here in the group. Just a little, I guess, change in perspective from my personal experience. And I think this list of symptoms is created by asking people what prevented them from achieving things. But we don't have a checklist of things where it says like what helped you achieve things. And I feel like amongst these symptoms, some of these things might actually help you reach your goal sometimes. Yeah, I think it's circumstantial, and I can give a few examples. Like I think impulsiveness has personally at times held me back, and also personally it has also helped me move forward by taking like a step which I was scared to take, and taking it like there's moments where I feel like, oh, this is the moment right now. And I took that step and it ended up um, really coming through for me and pushing me towards places where I wanted to be. And there's times where impulsiveness put me in situations where I wasn't prepared and I wasn't ready, and it held me back. And then I had to spend twice as long trying to get to where I wanted to be. And yeah, being paranoid, there were moments, at least I remember back when I was still in Pakistan, where um paranoia was very like due to the conditions around you, and it was like a defense mechanism, and it helped like keep me secure. But moving in a different environment where those paranoias do not exist was holding me back, because those conditions don't exist and I'm still holding on to the paranoia of certain things. So the environment, like my friends and community have changed, and now the better people are around me, but I'm still paranoid because of the trauma I'm holding. um and just things like that. And I feel that I've put down three things like being vague and rationalization and bargaining, and I feel that these are things right now that are definitely holding me back. And um yeah, the combination of the three, it's a constant struggle. And it's in this environment that these three things don't help at all. So yeah, it just I guess wanting to bring out um some of these things and also going easy on my path for why I held some of these things, but also knowing that um it doesn't work in every situation.
Ryan, thank you so much for
So yeah,
sharing perspective. And you are there's always a yes and to any story or narrative. Um, it is true that some of these symptoms can be used to benefit you at certain times. It's a matter of perspective, also context. Um, what in the context that we're talking about, it's like stopping points. Um, but there's also the layer with the monkey. There's also like how do you dance with it? Like these things are going to be here, so how do you dance with it? You know, and Arturo, I know you want to jump in. I'm closing up here, and then I'll give you a moment. Then if we could do my last slide. Um, but there is the also the other added level of being people of color and a white uh, supremacist, backdrop reality that we have legit fucking reasons to be cautious about leaving the cave. So I'm not talking about that level of caution. I'm talking about the internal stopping points for the things that are within that are without that are outside of oppression, that are within your ability to create that joy and to create that empowerment and bring it into physical reality. So trauma is real, post-traumatic stress is real. The symptoms context is in stopping points for things that are within your ability to shift as far as thinking goes. Arturo, did you want to add something before I go over my last slide?
Yes, just a couple of things, and thank you everybody for all of your participation. It's just great to be able to really have this kind of discussion because this is a human experience that we're all going through, and the way that the system is set up is to convince us that you're alone, right? Like, oh, it's just you, that the only person that is experiencing this is you. There must be something wrong with you, so figure it out, right? The first thing, and this is in response to what Ryan was sharing, it is that you know monkey mind is in a way there we have to differentiate between what is monkey mind and what is authentic action, right? An authentic action will always move you to progress. It will make the space feel expansive, right? When you understand that there is a monkey mind conversation is when you feel like the space is constricting around you. Oh, how about this? No, there's no way for this on this, like, let me try this. No, I don't think this is a good one. Let me go this way. No, I don't think this is either. So when you feel like your options are becoming less and that you're feeling trapped, this is the monkey mind jumping back and saying, I have to think my way through this. I have to figure it out because if I don't, I cannot move, right? That is the clear indication that you're having a monkey mind conversation. Hey, if you say, I'm gonna quit my job today and this is gonna allow me to realize my dreams, but it feels expansive, like, what if I don't have to do this work anymore? Oh, these possibilities open, and like the space opens and there's so much to look for, then we can talk about an authentic action that is happening. And then to the other point that I wanted to bring earlier, when you see it, you don't have to be it, right? When you see that this line of thinking is constricting your options, is constricting your space, you can take a step back and say, okay, I realize that engaging with these thoughts is not opening up options for me, right? Particularly for us when we grow up in marginalized communities, there's a scarcity mentality that comes into play all the time. Oh, there is not enough for me to succeed at this point. Okay. When you see it, you don't have to be it. There is a really cool story about this this fish called Oscar. And Oscar is a fish in the ocean, just swimming. And then somebody comes to Oscar one day and they're like, hey, Oscar, how's the water? And Oscar's like, the what? The water. I don't get it. No, yeah, this thing that you're swimming in. What? I don't understand, right? And so one day, Oscar is swimming, and then is so happy, and he jumps out of the water, and he looks down, and he's like, "Oh, that's the water, right?" And he will dive in, right in again. But the next time that somebody comes to him and asks him, "Hey, Oscar, how's the water?" "Oh, the water is hot or cold or nice or whatever." But now he's aware that he's swimming in that water, right? So really, these exercises or this exercise that we did today is not for you to get rid of that chatter, right? It's not to get rid of monkey mind. Monkey mind, the unfortunate news is that monkey mind is going to be present in our lives forever. However, when you learn how to create that small distance between you and that monkey mind, you can see with clarity that investing your energy in negotiating, in thinking your way through monkey mind is not going to take you anywhere. So you just have to see it so that you don't have to be it. So you can
And that's a
shift.
great segue
Yes.
to my last slide.
Okay. Oh, sorry. This is not the one. Here. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I think there should be one more. So, how to go, sir? Ice out your monkey mind. Set up success, set up accountability, be kind to yourself, and get support where you need it. So as we close this section, we're going to be moving into the artist presentations. Arturo, if you can make Bria co-host, that'd be great. So today we have presentations from Bria and Stephanie, and Steph, sorry. And next week we have presentations from April, Ryan, and Lauren. And I'm going to put that in the chat too. Bria, you have 3 to 4 minutes, and I'll let you know when you're at the needing to wrap.
Okay.
I'll keep time.
Can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay. Arts Collab presents Brilliant. Woo! Pew, 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 pew. So Brilliant is my artist name. So Bria is my first name, and yes, it's just Bria. Will not believe how many questions I get. My name is Brianna or Botanica or a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's just Bria. And Leon is actually my middle name spelt backwards. I'll come back at the end of the presentation to see who can guess what that is. Who is Bria Leon? So I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I currently live in Los Angeles. I moved here in 2019 from New York, actually, and I was living in New York for 3 years. I was in a fellowship program for 2 years out there at the Brooklyn Academy of Music for production and stagecraft, where I was in a 3 to 6 month program learning about lighting, sound, how to build a set, how to run a show, how to get documents together to be able to present to a company that wants to partner to put a show on. So I learned a lot. And I got to actually run a show. Jimmy Kimmel, I'm sure some of us are familiar, but he came to New York while I was doing the program to film an episode there. And I believe it was the debut of Cardi B, one of her songs, and I was able to PA that episode with her on it for the Jimmy Kimmel show. So that was actually kind of cool. 3 fun facts about myself. I love game nights. So Arturo, Therese, if we could like do like a Zoom virtual game night or day or something on here, I think that'd be great for us to like bond and stuff. Another fun fact about myself, I used to work at the zoo in my hometown. That was my first job I ever had in my life. And I was cleaning cages for a little bit. And then I got to move up to the gift shop, but I missed the animals so much. I begged them to let me go back to cleaning cages because just bonding and being with animals was just such a unique experience. And at 15 years old, like you couldn't tell me that working with animals all day, every day after school wasn't awesome.
Ria, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm also a singer-songwriter and teaching artist. I practice as a singer-songwriter and teaching artist who uses music as a way to uplift and heal. I believe that music is a universal language and is needed now more than ever to bring people together. I plan to continue to showcase my music as an advocate for health and wellness and everyday learning. In addition to this, I believe that the children of today are the future, and as a teaching artist, I will continue to use my story and experiences to inspire the youth of today to shoot for the moon and stars. And so just to give like an overall summary of that, yes, I am a singer-songwriter, but I really do also have a passion of working with children. I've worked with a musical theater after school program called Upstage Theater Schools for the past 4 years. I'm no longer with them, but I was able to choreograph and music direct many musicals for different elementary schools throughout West LA. And it was the best experience. And through that, I got to see like how much art, how much musical theater and just being in that world in general really helps with kids' confidence, their mental health, and their wellness. I've seen kids who started out as mute, didn't want to speak or anything. And by the end of our program, they were either the lead actor in our show or they made so many friends by the end of that program. And so being able to be a guiding and helping hand in that means the world to me, on top of singing and putting my music out. Because as a music director, you gotta be able to sing some notes and things like that. And so to be able to like sing with the kids, it was just an amazing experience. So the Gemini Untamed is a project that I released in 2021. It is out on all platforms, on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, things of that nature. So please feel free to check it out. The picture in the middle, I performed at a Juneteenth showcase here last year, and that was really cool. And then the picture on the far right was my very, very first performance here in LA at a independent artist musical showcase. How to support. So these are all my handles for my social media and musical platforms. Feel free to follow, stream, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And it's my artist name for anyone. Instagram is different because apparently my artist name was taken, so I couldn't change it to Bria Leon. So it's all personality. That's the only reason why it's different. And I have some good news. I recently dropped a song yesterday, and so it is out. It's called One Chance. And if you all would like to take a listen, I would love to know your feedback, how you feel about it. If you don't, that's totally okay too. But that concludes my presentation.
All right, give some love to Bria. Noelle.
Yes, Therese, you figured it out.
Woo! Thank you. Arturo, if I can share my screen, and if you could keep time for this presentation, that'd be great.
I'll let you know when you have 1 minute left.
Okay, let's see. Full screen, present. Okay. Steph?
Okay. So here's my presentation. It's titled This Was the After, and you can switch to the next slide. So my name is Stephanie Guzman, and my pronouns are she, her. I am a content curator, a DJ, and a radio producer. And I'm gonna read this part. Stephanie Guzman is a content curator who focuses on bringing light to musicians of Spanish-speaking countries through the podcast of El Nopalito Media. Her work focuses on sharing Latin alternative music artists since 2014, and she has also hosted a live radio show on KDBS 90.3 FM, Latin Alt, HD3 88.5, and Psych Radio San Francisco simultaneously. In each of the 36 episode series, Stephanie explores each artist's experience in the music industry, their musical influences, their goals, and the impact they have in the audience with their music. Stephanie's musical curation supports up-and-coming artists to access new audiences in California and connects individuals, giving them access to a musical space that they can relate to. The platform that she has curated for over 6 years not only helps the artists gain a bigger audience, but also breaks down barriers and stereotypes about Latin alternative music. Stephanie always aspires to create a space where people can find relatable content where they feel seen and unapologetic to be themselves. If you could switch to the next slide. So I am currently rebranding the El Nopalito Media podcast because I was formerly working with a team, and I'm going to rebrand it as Después del After. This will include a new logo, new social media handles, new accounts on music streaming platforms, creating a new business email, and letting followers know about the change. My second project includes, so my podcast is 1 hour long and I focus on 14 artists. So my second project will be interviewing those artists for the first episode of This Was It After, and producing the episode by the first Friday of September. So I've given myself a deadline. And project 3, once I have the episode ready, I want to pitch it to various radio stations. And one of my biggest goals is to have the podcast be played on NPR or an NPR affiliate, KCRW, Psych Radio, Latin Alt, HD3, KQED, KDBS, and Capital Public Radio, which is a NPR affiliate here in Sacramento, where I live. And how you can support my art practice. You can stream the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud. You can listen to it on the radio, share the podcast with your friends, follow the podcast account on social media, and attend any event Después del After may host. And what am I happy to contribute to this cohort? Well, a platform where you can share, advertise your art. I can produce a radio announcement for your business, practice, or event. I can share ideas on how to push you closer to achieving your goal. And I can share grants that would be ideal for your project as I research for grants. And then ways to connect. So you can find my current work on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Latin Alt Radio. You can just search up El Nopalito Media on any of those platforms and check out the podcasts I have curated if you'd like to listen to some new artists del rock en español, Latin alternative music.
Awesome. Woo!
Woo!
Yeah. Can we drop some love in the chat for Bria and Seth? Woo! And some verbal love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bria, Steph. I love the vision. I love your practice. I love everything that you're doing. Just keep it up. We need more platforms, and we need more, just power of creation, serving people and just connecting us together. So we're going to take a 2-3 minute break. 3-minute break, and we will come back. I'm gonna play a little bit of music, so shake your body, go to the bathroom, get a little bit of water, and we'll be right back I hope that folks can get on their cameras. I want to see you. I feel very lonely when I don't see you guys. Okay, we'll have 3 minutes. We'll be right back. No. You do you, baby. This is your space for cultivating your vision and your projects. I don't get, I don't get to tell you what to do to enjoy this most, to make the most out of it. But right now, uh, we're going to take a moment to talk about the overview grant template. We wanted to do a screenshot, but we can do it toward the end. We can do it toward the end. Okay, so first and foremost, this is very important. We have shared with you a link to a document, which is the grant template, which is this one. So I want to see raise your hand, or you just send an emoji if you have seen this document, and if you have created your copy, and if you have shared it with your coach. Share emoji now. I see Stephanie. I see Nersha. Okay. If you haven't, please do go to this link. Please go to this document, and we want you to make a copy right now. We're not going to move unless everybody shares an emoji saying that they have made their own copy. Because this is what we are completing. This is part of the training, guys. So if you don't have your document, great. Beautiful, beautiful. You can just go to make a copy. And when you make a copy, I want you to go to your shared folder. It's gonna be all the way back here, shared with me. If you click here, you will find our shared folder, the folder where we are, your Art Scholar folder. So I want you to go and make a copy, put your name at the front, Arturo. And then you make your copy. And now you have your copy, okay? Make sure that it lives in our share folder. And I just want to take a moment to break it down now that we have a little more clarity around what it is that we're doing, how is that we are building up our project. As you can see, there's a list of the things that we have to do. We are going to be creating the deadlines. If you don't have the deadlines yet, you're going to be creating the deadlines in your next coaching session. So far, we have started working on your summary, your artist bio, and your cultural equity statement. Okay. So today we're gonna make sure that summary and artist bio are as complete as we can, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about cultural equity. But just mostly in how are you doing with your research and all of these things. Okay. So your grant project has two main components, okay? The first is the narrative questions. This is the why. Why do you want to do this project? Why this is the project that you're choosing? Why you, right? Why is that you as a person, as a creative, as an artist, as a community organizer, why are you the right indicate person to develop this project? Number one. Number two, this is the second part. This is the how, right? how are you going to make it happen? So why are you going to make it happen? This is the first part, the more existential part, and then the how, like the production part, right? Uh, in the why, we're going to talk about, you know, the cultural equity. How is your project rooted in the community, or how is it answering to the needs of your community? What is your narrative, your relevance to it, right? Uh, your resume, your bio, and your work samples, right? This is why I am the most qualified person to do this project. And then when we finish with the why, we're gonna go to the part where we basically break down how are we going to be doing. These are the ideas and processes that I'm going to bring into the project, right? Like this is the framework that I'm using. This is the specific development of the project. I have 4 stages in my project: the planning, the development, the production, and the showcase, for example, right? Collaborations, who are you doing this with, and what are they contributing to the project? The community impact, right? You know, again, this is in the practical, right? In the ideas world, we're going to talk about the cultural equity. What are the needs of my community, right? What are the needs of my community? And then the community impact is, how is that that this project is going to contribute in tangible ways to the people that I'm serving. Then we're going to go to the personal impact, right? How is that you personally are going to benefit from developing this project, right? Well, I'm going to achieve new level of you know, mastery in my practice. I am going to develop new relationships. I am going to be able to showcase my work at a larger scale, all of these things. And the final portion, this is really important, is your grant plan. What you know, what are the different portions? First A first, then B, then C, then D, then E, right? Like, what are the different parts of the program that I am going to be engaging with? All right. So after we saw that, I am going to show you the hand diagram. And for this, my friends, I am going to need you to go get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. And I am going to ask you to take your hand, put it in the paper. In this case, my iPad is going to be my paper. And we're going to trace our hand in the paper, okay? So I'm gonna do this here. Mm. Huh, interesting. Huh, okay. I'm gonna have to do it in my computer, which is boring because I don't get to draw my hand. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do my best. 1, 2, look at this. 3, 4. There you go. Okay, can you guys show me your hands? Show me your drawing. Oh, I cannot see it, Steph. Oh, I got it. I see it. I see it. Bria, Lauren, there you go. I see it. Perfect. Eva, gracias. For my folks who are hidden away. You can show me. Okay. So the reason that we're drawing a hand is because we are going to understand our whole project as the different portions of our hand, right? We are going to be placing different things in each finger. So in here, we're going to do the artist bio and artist narrative on this finger. We're going to be doing the cultural, we're going to be doing your cultural equity portion on this finger. We're going to be doing your work samples in this finger. We're going to be doing ideas and processes and your collaborators in this finger. We're going to be doing our community impact and personal impact on this finger. Okay, so here's the important part about this. And also, I just want to make sure that I'm recording. Yes, I am recording. Everything in our grant has to be connected to the palm of our hand. Okay? Ultimately, all of these things will have a conductual connection. What does that mean? Well, it means that at the center of our hand, there is going to be a main narrative, right? This is our grant narrative. So every time that you add something new into your grant, and we're teaching you at this point because this is the moment where you will be connecting the dots in your grant. You're going to start talking about your practice. You're going to start talking about your experience. You're going to start talking about the impact in your community, but everything has to relate to one another. The big mistake that we see often in people who are writing their grants, particularly when they're writing their first, second, third grant, is that we try to be seen for everything that we have done in the past, and it is fair to say for a lot of people, for all of us really, to do the work that we do is it's difficult. It takes work. So you are trying to say, oh, listen, I am a very skilled photographer and also an audiovisual creator, but I also have produced performances, and I also wrote a couple of songs back in college. And I also, like in my case, one time I was putting together my one application, and I started talking about a radio show that I was producing in probably 2012, 2013. And I was like, oh man, that is so far from what I'm trying to do right now, right? But it was a cool experience, and I kind of want them to see me as this cool creator who can do it all. Da, 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 da. But the question that I have for you is, what is the nutritional value that mentioning that is going to bring into your grant application, right? How is that saying something about that will ultimately add up to this grant narrative that we are creating here? And when I say that, I'm not saying that your experience or your past work is not valid and is not important and is not worthy of honoring and mentioning it. But when you are submitting something, particularly when you're submitting something to a panel of readers, grant panelists, you're really wanting them to be able to hone in on the most important details of your grant. So what is going to happen? You can imagine that for some of these panels, these grant panels, you will have between 4 and 8 people reviewing anywhere between 20 and 60 applications, right? So sometimes they will take up to a month to review back to back all the applications. So you can imagine what is going to happen when they're reviewing your grant application and you are applicant number 60, right? Or you are applicant number 40, or you are applicant number 35. Again, my friends, grants is, grant making and grant programs are not equitable ways to measure the success of your vision, because some of these folks, I'll speak from my own experience. In my first grant panel, I was invited to be a panelist. I was happy. I received 42 applications, and I had 3 weeks to review all of these 42 applications. So, me being new and trying to figure things out, I was going slow. So the first week, I didn't quite see a lot of grants. And the second week, I was kind of like getting familiar with the format and the ways in which I had to review things. But it was truly in the last 4 to 5 days that I reviewed all of those grants, right? Then, as you can imagine, it was taking me between 2 to 3 hours a day to review each grant, to read all of the grant, to review the work samples, to do the thing. And what ended up happening for me is I ended up, just kind of like brushing over some of the grants, right? So when you do that, you really need to see, like at the forefront, you need to see in bold letters what is that the artist is trying to do. And if you miss it once, if you went over the artist narrative and you missed the point, you missed that they are going to be doing a gallery exhibition with performances. Well, when you talk about the ideas and processes and the collaborators, it's important that you see it again. Oh, this person is talking again about doing a show in a gallery with other collaborators. Okay, well, how about the community impact? Well, through the performance of these artists in the gallery event, we make sure that the community connects and engage, right? And so now everything starts talking the same language and everything starts going to the same tune, right? So the example that I try to give my artists I coach is, imagine that you're playing a guitar with one string, right? So you can go up and down the guitar, but it's the same one string, okay? Do you guys have any questions about this?
Arturo?
Yes.
So I would like to just add to you that, so something that will help you toward or as you're building your grant, but definitely like before you finish it, is you go back through each section and you make sure that everything is connected and that you're not introducing anything new. So like in your project summary, you say you're going to do these 5 things, but then when you go to list your processes, you list 8 things, there's a disconnect. So as you're building your narrative, you want to make sure everything connects. And that, like, for all of the things that you're saying you want to do, that there's also a connection to your resume, and there's also a connection to your work samples. So it's like, oh, okay, Bria's done, this many public facing events with kids. She's got this. Stephanie's done 36 podcasts. She's got this.
Exactly. So ultimately what we are doing is we're putting together a puzzle with all of our experiences, all of our ideas, all of our processes to make one big picture, which is the project that you are trying to create, right? Now, at this point, we wanted to check in about your summary and your artistic your bio. but for the sake of time, we're not going to get into that. We do invite you to come to our co-working session. When is our next co-working session, Therese? Is this Tuesday?
On this coming Tuesday, 6 to 8.
Yes. So come, please do come to our co-working session. Last time we had a lot of fun, and it really is a space for you guys to work, but also to ask any questions that you might have. Okay. The only thing that I do want to make time is to talk a little bit about the cultural equity research, and I want to ask Sen to share us a little bit of their experience in doing their research and what were they able to find. Sen, can you share a little bit of that experience with us?
Yes. Hey everyone. So when I did this cohort earlier this year, I was really focusing my cultural equity around the work that I've been doing in the last 5 years. So it's actually I'm actually preparing for it today. But I do a workshop called Your Legacy. And when I first started this workshop, I've done it. I launched it in 2018. To serve immigrant and refugee communities. And this year, I really wanted to refocus that onto LGBT communities. And so my conversation with Duro through that process was, okay, who is in my community, in the San Francisco Bay Area community, doing this work already? And who is doing this work with the specific population demographic that I'm really wanting to reach out to? And thankfully, the organizations I've already worked with have touched on those groups, but not entirely. And so through my conversation with Arturo and I, we were really kind of just naming out different organizations, like, what about this person? Or what about this org? What about this org? And we kind of like came into conclusion of like, I think I found like about 5 orgs that focused on both demographics of immigrant and refugee people and then also LGBT folks. And so that was something that was kind of like at first, before this conversation, I had really monkey mind of like, there's no way there's organizations that serve these 2 people. So I have to offer this program, right? And then during my conversation with Arturo, it was like, oh, wait, there's actually multiple organizations serving these 2 populations in the SF Bay Area. I just have always known about them, but I never really actually reached out to them. And so I think that was like in March, maybe when we had that conversation. I want to say maybe 2 weeks later, I actually found like maybe 2 nights before the symposium, I found the symposium that actually had all 5 organizations that me and Arturo talked about in the same place at the same time. And so I was like, oh my God, this is such a perfect opportunity for me to gift them a zine that I had made about my work that I've done, print out my artist bio, print out my artist narrative, print out a little blurb about my project, and gift them this, information, this zine and information about myself in person. And through that, they were really excited to meet me. They're also really excited to receive a gift for free. And then also I was mentioned in their staff meetings for the next month, around collaborations, around how do they offer my programming to their organizations. And then so I think out of the 5, I've had 1 follow-up meeting with one of the orgs. And so that was something that I got out of it. But even then, just kind of like making sure you reach out to them and making sure you follow up. And yeah, just kind of if you have like, for example, I had a zine, a printed out zine. So if you had some sort of evidence of your work that you want to propose to an organization, I think having that and gifting it to them in person is always so much better versus kind of an email that gets lost in their, pool of emails that they get. And so that's kind of what my journey with social equity is, or cultural equity. Thank you so much. I do have to go. I have to start my workshop, but thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your session. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Sam, for sticking around, and we will see you next week, okay?
Yes. Okay.
Good
Bye,
luck.
everyone.
Thank you. So this is all to say, you don't have to start from zero, you know? You don't have to find a new way to explain your whole cosmovision. You can find people who are doing this work, who have been doing this work, and who have had the practice of presenting their work. Now, it is important for us to tell you, the more you pitch this work, the more you create grants and the more that you develop your content, the better content you will have. Simply put, the sharpest, you know, it's going to be. And so we invite you to embrace that, because you know, we want you to leave the space with killer projects, whether it is that you're going to apply for a grant, or that you're looking for a sponsor or for a funder, whatever it is, really. I just want to make a space to see if anyone has questions in regard to their cultural equity, specifically to the cultural equity research. Do raise your hand if you have been doing some of this research already. Come on, I need a little participation, guys. I'm feeling very lonely here today. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, thank you, April. Yes. Mike, great. Okay, well, thank you for saying that, Inertia. Yes, no, and I know that in our sessions, in our coaching sessions, we've looked at this from different angles, so I know that you're gonna get into it. Do you guys have any questions about it? Do you guys have any questions in regards to, I don't know what I'm looking for, I don't know where to start looking, I don't know what are the important things to include in the research? Yes, Lauren?
Yeah, I one of the things that makes me shy away from doing so much research is going back to monkey mind, you know, the comparison thing. That's one part of it, but actually my question is about, like, when do you stop researching? Because I feel like I can become over saturated with all the things everyone else is doing, and I'm like, oh, I could do that, oh, I could do that, and then I'm like, now I'm just a sponge for everyone else's ideas, and now I don't know anymore what I want to do. Do you have like any tips to practice containment so that you aren't, so that your magic doesn't seep out of you in unproductive ways?
Do you guys everyone here has done the standards of integrity exercise? Did you, Lauren? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I revisit it often, and Therese has me put it up on my wall, so I'm looking at it.
Yes, for everybody, put it right in front of you. It's important that you're remembering what, you know, your standards of integrity are. The principle for the standards of integrity exercise is look around you. The things that you're seeing outside are things that you have within yourself. Okay. So when you're researching things, some ideas might be good ideas. Some ideas might not, right? But the best way, so the best way to respond this is, you really just want to create, you want to make the case for the specific thing that you are trying to do, right? So in that regard, you're going to look at other people's materials, the way that other people are explaining their practice, right? The way that other people are utilizing certain tools to develop their project and their vision. It doesn't mean that you have to copy them. It doesn't mean, if you feel inspired by some of that, it doesn't mean that you are copying their idea. you know,
Mm, mhm.
it means that you might be adding a component to your vision that is unique, and it is unique because it's your lived experience, right? Like you can only create from within your lived experiences. I love to have this. Now I've been able to map this process. When you're doing art, there are three main components when you're developing your practice: is imitation, emulation, innovation. I think I've said it in the past.
Mm,
Imitation, emulation, innovation. So don't worry too much about like, oh, how much of this is my idea or not. If you're doing it, if you're developing into your practice, if you're integrating it into your practice and doing the work to actually show it, this is something that you're learning from, right?
mhm.
Everyone can be our teacher. Everyone can give us ideas. Ideas are cheap. The making of the ideas is what really brings us to the final goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, just gather enough ideas, gather enough data that you're building a case for what you're trying to do. And there's a lot of things that you can have in your bike rack, because that's why we have the bike rack in your document. Not
Right.
everything is going to go in your grant, but for some things it's good to have them there just in case that they're needed, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Tools in your pocket.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have to have everything figured out when it comes to, let's say, if I want to do a festival? Do I have to have the location? Do I have to have the space where I'm going to do it? Do I have to have all that already defined in advance, or how does that work? Or the
So
organization that I'm going to work with?
that's a great question. That's a great question. Uh, uh, Basically, the short answer to this is, it is important that you have a sense of like the specific things that you want to bring into your project. It doesn't mean that you need to have a signed contract with a venue, because you don't have the money necessarily, right? But when people review your grant, they're gonna know how clear are you in the scope of the development of your project, right? Oh, this person is talking about finding a venue. What does that mean? Right? Oh no, securing a venue that could potentially be the Mission Cultural Center, La Peña Cultural Center, that gives the grant panelists an idea of like, okay, this person is clear in who they can partner with, right? So that is a lot of the grant writing and the project development. It really is to throw ideas, and once you have a full body of a project completely formed, you can move to the next stage, which is talk to the potential collaborators and say, listen, I'm listing you as a potential collaborator. This is not a contract. This is not a binding agreement of any sort. But if I get the grant, I will come and knock on your door, because I will have the money to make this happen, right? Is it better to be broad or more specific? Depending on your project, you will be coming from the broader to the specific. But here is the key, guys. You can, if you ask me to make a pitch on the fly about something, even if I don't know about it, I will do my best. And chances are that I'm going to be very broad, so that I don't stumble on my words. But the more, for some things, it's okay to be broad. But for some things that have, to do with your practice, with the people that you're serving, the more specific you are, the better. Because this is not like, oh, I will do a concert sometime in the future with some audience. No. I'm gonna do a concert, sometime in the future between June and August, and it's going to be in an open venue, whether it is the Dolores Park or La Raza Park or this. So it is broad enough, but it's specific enough that people can see that you're seeing these things with clarity. And could you give another explanation in regards to cultural equity? How so, April? Help me see what you're seeing here. Yeah, give me just because I mean I can I can go for hours about this.
I think
Uh,
she's muted, but I think I have a similar question to April's.
yeah.
Could you like explain, maybe rephrase the question? How is your project rooted in the community? Like, is it focused on how is your project going to help the community, or how is it going to impact it, or what is missing in your community?
Yeah, the other way to rephrase it is, what is the need that you are seeing in your community
Okay.
that your project is trying to address, right?
Okay.
And then based on that need, and the first and foremost, trust your intuition. Trust that whatever you are like, whatever brought you to start developing your project is a real need. So you can just look at the roots of that need. Oh, I see that there is a lack of accessibility for mental health for people of color. That is my lived experience. That is my lived personal experience. Can I go and look around and see and look at some research and just type it as that, like accessibility for mental health for people of color in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, in California, in North Carolina, in the United States, right? And then you can start from the broad, and then go into the specifics, because ultimately what the funder is trying to know and the panel is trying to know is if this is a national phenomenon, how is that you working with your community in specifically is going to impact this broad audience, right? But if you start from the broad audience and you start narrowing it down, like, let me think of an example. 85% of incarcerated people in the United States identify as Black or brown, right? In the United States. In the state of California, there are 5 million people incarcerated, which represents 0.5% of the population. In the city of San Francisco, the people who are incarcerated, they are mostly from these particular communities, and this is a community that I'm serving. You see how we're going from the general to the particular, right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Come next Tuesday, and we will figure out the rest of questions about your cultural equity. And with that, we go to the final portion of our session. Mo, please.
Do you want to go with the homework?
Can we mention the things that we were going to talk about? Work samples?
Yeah. So we want to get you to start thinking about collecting your work samples. Essentially, you want to try to have ideally more than you need. If you can get like 10 work samples, and then you can choose from them. But if you don't have 10 work samples, you aim for 5. It usually is about five work samples. If it's something that's auditory, it's usually about 5 minutes total time. So what we'd like for you to do is like scour your social media where you may have posted videos or pictures of you basket weaving, or pictures with you in your circles, or flyers from performances, segments from interviews, pictures with you and your clients, just a wide range of documentation that shows that you can do the thing that you're saying that you want to do. If you have worked with collaborators in the past on productions, ask them to let you know if they have video footage or pictures. If something that you were involved in had a professional photographer, find out who that photographer was and get the pictures, that they may have taken of you performing, or doing the craft. If you have news articles, you can grab quotes for work samples. And so the first thing to keep in mind during that process is the evaluators are not just looking at your work alone. They're going to be looking at over 100, as Arturo had mentioned, easily 100 different samples in one day. So you really want to make sure yours stand out. And Arturo and I will be supporting you in getting great work samples. And if you don't have work samples, we can kind of walk you through the process of creating samples.
I have a question on the work samples.
Okay.
Do they have to be related with your project exclusively? Or they need to show that you have done all different work? So how does that work? Because I'm thinking in my case, I have different things that I have done, but not all of them necessarily are related with the project that I want to present. So I don't know how to go about that.
So for your festival, have you done public facing events with community where you have pictures of like the performers, the stages, any flyers?
Yeah, I don't have the pictures on the stuff, but yeah, I have done that. But I have I did a class that is related with the festival. So I have a scene that is, related.
So that might be something that we can look at. If you didn't have flyers, you might create flyers. But if it's for a festival, they're going to want to see something that shows that you can manage a festival.
And furthermore, I would say, this is a portion of your practice where you will have to exercise your your storytelling, right? A work sample is the practical, like here's the work that I've done, but also what is the context, right? So these are all things that we are going to get really deep into in a future session. But the right now what we're telling you is go start gathering all of these work samples, because when we start working on them, we want you to have some materials so that you can start developing your own work samples. And this is just an important note. You might be aware that you have some pictures over here. Your friends have some pictures that they took in your show. You might have worked with some cultural center in the past, so you know that they have the pictures. This is the moment, my friends, where you start calling in all of that energy. So don't be afraid to reach out. Do not be afraid of sending a text, sending a letter, sending an email, and being like, hey, I'm putting together my work samples for a project. Can you send me that picture? Can you send me that video? Can you, as simple as that.
And so for our homework, we want you to continue your cultural equity research. I believe we had suggested like a total of up to like five different people, like 3 organizations and 2 artists. We'd like for you to start gathering your potential work samples, complete your artist bio and your project summary, and be sure to check in with your accountability buddy about how they're doing so far with the process and how you're doing. And so we're probably going to run a couple minutes over, but we would like to close out with a question for you guys. What are you willing to bring into physical reality this week? And who are you willing to tell about this plan in relation to your grant? What are you willing to bring into physical reality this week? And who are you willing to tell about that plan? And we can just go. Arturo, can you take the slide down and I'll call on folks? Ava, what are you wanting to work on this week, and who are you going to tell about it?
Well, as you know, I decided to change my project from the book the novel that I initially had in mind. I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to focus now on a festival or event, a conference. So yeah, I was making progress with the narrative. So now I'm going to, make progress with the new narratives. Who am I going to talk about? I guess with you.
Okay, great. Stephanie?
I'm going to be checking with you on that.
Awesome. Stephanie?
I'm gonna start looking for new artists, and because my personal deadline is was it September 1st. So I'm gonna start interviewing them and just start writing a script for my new episode.
Great. Jeremy?
I'm gonna work on my project summary and my artist bio, and yeah, who am I gonna tell? I don't know, my accountability buddy.
Great. Lauren?
Work samples and photos, and I'm telling you all right now that I'm thinking of making a separate Instagram for just my weaving practice. Because right now my personal Instagram is just like all kinds of random things from my personal life. And so I'm trying to I don't know, focus that magic. And it might be ready by next week when I share my artist bio presentation. So coming soon. This is accountability in action. Yeah, I think that's what I'll work on this week.
Great. Anersha, thank you for putting out what you're going to be up to in the chat. Dominique?
Hi, I am going to be working on sort of refining my bio and working on my project narrative, and then digging deep for work samples. Oh, and who I'm gonna talk to, I'm gonna check in with my coach, of course, and with my accountability partner, Laz.
Awesome. April?
All right, so I'm going to be moving my work samples to a cohesive space, be leaning more into the creative process, so completing some paintings. I'm also going to be I guess weaving through or connecting the writings that I've already had that kind of lean into my narrative and culture and equity statements, and blend that with some research. So kind of refreshing, going back to things and sitting with things more. And I'll check in with my coach and my accountability buddy.
Great. Mike?
Yeah, I would say finishing up gathering samples and then refining the bio that I got, and then the narrative, so the whole shebang, and then also checking with my accountability partner and my coach and anybody that I'm around that I'm going to bug to say, this is what I'm doing. I'm telling the world.
Love it. Armando?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start creating a contact list and doing outreach to the people I already know to start to see if there's an interest or if they may know somebody that would benefit from it, and try to cast a wide net. Just to at least start the program to have something to show for. And yeah, my wife and other professionals I'm working with. So we got the hard part down now. It's just trying to gather more information. And yeah, I've been trying to deal with my accountability buddy, just seeing how we're processing and how we can work together.
Yes. Ryan,
I'm gonna complete my pitch deck. I have a website and a fundraising platform, and I have a few people that I think would be interested to give some kickstarting money just to help get the project um, rolling. Because yeah, I have been working on this for some time. I have a few people lined up, so just need to send them my this presentation to them and engaging in like some conversations, which will help everything else too, in the process.
great. Thank you everyone for your contributions today. I'd love to get a screenshot for our post-game notes if folks would be willing to come off screen as we sign off, before we sign off. A one, a
Go.
two, a three. Cheese. 1, 2, 3, fromage. All right, thank y'all. Hope to see you co-working.
Thank you.
Adios. Woo.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, Ryan.